Hello everyone, JayPower here with my first video tutorial that I bring along with my guide. This time it is going to be about a very nice PvZ opening build from NaNiwa. He showcased this build almost exclusively during his live stream. This is how I'm going to break down this tutorial. I'm going to start with a quick build overview where I explain the basic steps in executing the build. Here I mainly talk about why I think this build is so good. After that I'm going straight into replays, explaining and showing the main build order, but also giving you a lot of alternatives that you can change the build up, switch it up, and basically do whatever you like. I will be analyzing 2 replays for this tutorial. If you want more replays for examples on how to use this build, you can find my replays in the Team Liquid or the Reddit thread. I will also discuss my replays individually in separate videos, so keep an eye out on my YouTube channel, and I will be adding those after this video tutorial. When I'm done with the replays, I will provide you with a very nice list of quick tips and timings that are very useful when you execute this build. And welcome to a really fast build overview, where I go over the build order really fast. If you don't feel like watching the entire video, you can just copy this build order and go try it yourself. The build is a very normal 9 pylon, but in your main base, then 13 gateway. You are going to scout after gateway. If you want, you can scout after pylon 2. But it's not necessary, because you can see the early links coming and just chrono boost out a zealot, so you're not really vulnerable to an early pull. After that, normal 15 gas, 16 pylon in your main base, and when your gateway is done, you just get the cybercore and 18 zealot. So that's when you can afford it. Basically, you want to make probes the whole time. At 22 supply, a 3rd pylon at your natural. You will be walling that off. And a stalker when your cybercore is done, of course. Don't forget Warpgate research. At 27 supply you will be making the nexus and the 2nd gas. At this time you will be pressuring with the zealot and the stalker combination, and scouting as well, of course. At 27 supply also you will make a forge. This will be at your natural, of course, to wall it off. And at 28 supply you will make a Stargate in your main base. Around this time you will be able to fort a sentry as well, very soon. Of course, you have to make sure that you don't forget to put probes in the 2nd gas as soon as it finishes. At 32 supply, that's around the time you can get the cannon. Your forge will be done, and you can complete your wall off with a 2nd gateway. From there on, the build is very straightforward. You have the Stargate finishing up, so you will be making Phoenix. 54 supply is the supply where I normally take my 3rd and 4th gas. But it really depends on what you want to do. Maybe you are forced to make more sentries in the early game to hold off aggression, so you might need more gas for other tech. So it's really something you have to practice with and see what type of strategies requires more gas or less gas. But around 54 supply is when I take both my gases at my natural 3rd and 4th gas. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the first replay of this video tutorial that I'm going to show you. It is a PvZ that I played myself on ladder. I'm currently Master Protoss, around 900 points. So if you want to take my advice, it's up to you. You can of course just take the build order and do the build yourself. It is going to be a PvZ on Ohana, with me spawning in the bottom right. And the Sir player Kilo, not sure who he is, but he's a ladder player, Master ladder player. This game was played a couple of weeks ago. The build order from NaNiwa, you start off with a very normal 9 pylon, no proxies, but it is in your main base. You are going to gateway expand, actually, as the title says, and you're going to start, of course, in your main base. You can choose to scout before pylon, after pylon, as a 9 scout with a probe, but it's completely unnecessary because you can hold off a early pull very easy with the gateway. You just chrono boost out that zealot and you're completely safe. Normally I scout with the 12 probe and then just make a 13 gateway, and this time I'm actually going to scout on 13. So it's not very important when to scout. My opponent is actually drone scouting, which is quite uncommon in this matchup, but he is. So my probe is going out, gateway thrown down, and after that you follow up with a very normal 14 gas. This is like a very standard opening you do in PvT and PvP as well. so it should be very simple. Probe making its way over. Drone doing some harassment. Now here you can see I put down the second pylon in my main base. What you also can do, which NaNiwa likes quite a bit, is to put the second pylon at your opponent's natural. This can work out really well because they will try to take their third base as their second base, and when the overlord gets at the natural, at my natural, and sees that I'm actually not forge fast expanding, they might cancel their third base. But because the drone was already scouting my base, I decided not to block his expansion with a pylon, because he already knew that I was going for a gateway expand. When your gateway is finished at 18 supply, you will get a zealot. You can choose to skip this zealot. It will result in a slightly earlier nexus. It's really up to you how you, if you think the zealot stalker combination can do a lot of damage, or you think it's quite useless, you can just skip that. My opponent is stealing my gas, as you can see. I'm actually not going to kill it because he let it finish. And with this overlord here, I will talk about it later about building position. He will be very much in the dark to what I might be doing, because he sees I'm not taking my second gas. Well, I can't take it because he stole it, so I might be foregating. And this is why building placement is very important. Even if the Zerg didn't drone scout, you would have overlord always in this position. That's how Zerg scouts on Ohana. So I take this gas, so he won't be able to see whether I'm taking this gas. I of course will be taking that gas later, but not now. So the overlord is in a bit awkward position. He will have to check my natural, which he is doing, to see if there's going to be a nexus, but he's still unsure whether I'm taking my gas or not. Right now I'm moving out with the zealot and the stalker. I will want to see whether he's taking his third base or not, killing some links, forcing him to make more circlings. It's just really good pressure. Circling speed of course isn't done. With the new queen range it might be a bit annoying. You can't guide a queen with a stalker anymore, but you can still do quite some damage to these to the circlings. The next step in this build order is to get your gas right after the nexus, but because he stole my gas and I still want to pressure with the zealot stalker, I decided to get my gas a bit later. It's not that much that big of a deal. You will still be able to get those phoenix out really fast. My stalker is making its way over back. Forge is done. You want to make that forge before the Stargate at around 27 supply, and then the Stargate in the main base. I'm actually taking my gas at my natural. Nexus is almost finishing up, and then you can wall this off completely with a gateway. It is very useful if you're, especially on Ohana and Entombed being the only two maps where you can actually do that, to completely wall off your natural, and then you can work on these rocks to get a fast third base. So my nexus is finishing and my gas is up. Normally you, like I said before, you want to get that gas right after your nexus, so at 27 supply, but he stole my gas and I wanted to do some pressure with the zealot stalker. I got my gas a bit later, and this resulted also in my Stargate being a bit later. My probe is making its way over to the third base to see if it's there. It gives you really a safe feeling that the third base is actually there. Probably no roach aggression is coming. It could still be something like massling or mass bailing, but we got a nice wall off here, and soon we'll have a sentry as well. So right now Stargate tech is done. It is actually a bit, it's the same timing as Forge Fast Expand the Stargate, but as you can see my opponent's natural just now, third base, excuse me, just now finished, which is of course a lot later than with a Forge Fast Expand, because he needs to get that fast gas to get circling speed, else the stalker can just do so much damage. Even a 3-gate with just stalkers only can do just so much damage against slow links. My probe does get taken down here, and that's pretty much like the build order. You get your gateway, you get a zealot stalker, you can skip the zealot, you can even skip the stalker, and then your nexus will be even faster. You wall off your natural with a forge, then you get the Stargate, then the cannon and the gateway for a wall and extra defense. The build order will be in the Team Liquid thread, the Reddit thread, and on the YouTube account, so you can just copy paste that and use it for yourself. Gas timings included for the third and fourth gas. But right now you can see the Phoenix are done. The Overlord did not scout yet. No, they didn't scout yet. And this is really good. If you know your opponent didn't scout you yet, it's most of the time better to keep them hidden, your Phoenix, until you have 4. Because your opponent won't have spore crawlers, so Phoenix can kill pretty much any queen. Right now he is scouting with that lair being finished, but my Phoenix are already out. 5th Phoenix is on the way, 6th one as well. You actually don't have to get that high of a number of the Phoenix. NaNiwa likes to get 5. 4 is only necessary to kill a queen or a roach with 1 lift, but you can also get 6 like I am doing now, but it's really up to you. I like 6, I also like 5. I do not like 4 that much, it's like barely enough. I follow the Phoenix up with a Twilight Council immediately for the fast blink. And here goes the Phoenix already in the main base, killing queens, forcing 6 spore crawlers, basically 6 drones killed, making my way over to the natural, but can't kill that queen. I can kill this queen because the spore crawler is not done yet. And here I go, or not. I do kill the roach, and yeah, now you have the Phoenix out really fast. Infestation pit is on the way, but it's quite a while before infestors are out. You have a lot of energy that you can spend. The queen overextends a bit, you just pick it off, and I'm taking already my natural. I have the map control. I should have taken down a lot more, like the watchtowers, kill off some overlords around the map, which she doesn't have in this case. But my blink is done. I have some additional gateways, +2 is on the way, and my Phoenix are still doing damage. Another queen taken down. I still have my 6 Phoenix, getting a little bit low on health. See the drone count, only killed 1 worker this game, not too extreme, but it's not bad. They're giving me scouting. I did see of course the infestation pit, so I have to be really careful with the Phoenix. I have to make sure you don't stack them up. If my robotics facility on the way, can get those immortals or those colossus out. You do have a small push with the roaches from the Cirque. To be honest, I was quite caught off guard by this. I did have cannons on the way, but my army is quite small, so I didn't see this coming until now. Luckily with the gateways I made, I was able to do a quick warping of stalkers, also coming back with the Phoenix. And you can see a very nice feature. When you have the Phoenix, you just lift up the roach. I actually should have lifted off 6 more roaches and just come in with the army to pick those off. But yeah, it's very difficult to retreat, to do anything against the Phoenix lift until you have infestors out. +2 is almost done. And here again, just picking off things with the Phoenix. I'm not going to push now, only have 5 gateways, but I'm putting on some aggressions, showing him like, hey, I'm here, I might attack you. I do overextend a little bit, but with the blink I can just get out of there. Do end up losing some stalkers, a sentry, but it's not that big. Of course that will lure him out, my opponent, out of his base with his roaches, and my Phoenix can just pick them off. Remember, like 1 Phoenix kills 1 roach, 1-on-1. My opponent is trying to pressure me now, but I have a very good defensive stance. Blink stocks are just so cost efficient against roachling if you don't have the infestors out. I do now start immortal production from my robotics. A bit late, normally want to start it earlier. And look at that, my opponent tries to retreat, but with the lift off, you can just kill extra roaches. With blink you can easily catch up to roaches retreating. And my first immortal is out now. +3 did start, while my opponent is just now getting 1-1. He does have +1 for his roaches, but once my +3 is done, my upgrades will be just that much better. Right now he's pushing out with a lot of infestors, 10 infestors in total. But I do have the Phoenix, so I just lift off the infestors. There, 1 goes down. Second one as well. There's a lot of infested dance and the fungal on the stalkers. But with a nice warp in, I will be able to clean this up. Zealots are really good. And because he doesn't have burrow, and I have an observer anyways, I can just pick off all the infestors with the Phoenix. The opponent just cannot retreat. Tries to throw down some more infested terns, but the Phoenix can just pick them off, and with the blink you can easily catch up to any units. Look at the unit's last step, it's heavily in my favor. And even though he's getting all those infestors, which all died. Remember, he was pushing with 10 infestors, and they're all gone now. Observer does get killed now. +3's halfway done. I'm pushing in a bit here now, killing some creep, being a bit aggressive, forcing him to make units. He is now at 67 drones, a little bit less than you would like to have. His hive is done, spire on the way, and I'm going for the Colossus tech. First Colossus on the way with range, and I'm in a really comfortable position to take a third base. My opponent did make a lot of links. Infestors just now spawning. My Phoenix are still alive. Let's see those kills on those. Some have some high numbers like 7 or 5, but overall very good. It's very good if you can keep them alive. Right now I'm trying to split them against the infestors. Some do get caught. I think they will go down. 2 go down. Actually only 1 goes down. Does not get the last fungo on them. Right now I'm pushing forward to take my 4th base. Second robo is on the way. My opponent didn't see my Colossus switch yet. He does have a lot of links, so it will be very good. It's always very good with the Phoenix. When they are here, you can just scout your opponent's army composition. There's the 4th nexus going down. Army moving into position. Should have scouted a bit more. I don't see the hive yet. I don't see the spire. Let's see where the spire is. Actually, I'm not sure. Spire is somewhere. Oh, there it is. No greater spire on the way yet. The Phoenix spotting this base. He tries to throw it on spines, but spines is not really what he needs. He needs spores at every base. And here goes the Phoenix killing off just so many drones. Even when he takes this base over here, he will have to make spores there. Phoenix going into the main base, killing the queen, doing some harassment on this base as well, forcing my opponent to move his army around. Queen in the natural gets killed as well. Oh no, actually not. I picked it up, but I actually didn't kill it. Losing 2 Phoenix in total now. My zealots do get cleaned up here. Phoenix still alive, doing damage to overlords. Phoenix last stab is going way more in my favor. And he does get rid of the Phoenix right now. But he has to spend a lot of energy on his Phoenix. It's the best you can do, just make those infestors spend their energy. He does have corruptors on the way, but I already have the fleet beacon. There it is for the mothership. We are on equal basis. I'm actually up in workers, so my income is very strong. Zealots checking for this base once again. Actually I'm not sure if I can end up killing this infestor. Actually do end up killing the infestor, very nice. I do see the corruptors, so I know that he's going for the brutal attack, excuse me. Right now I'm pushing into this base. I have my 2 colossi. Blink is ready. Some force fruits. The corruptors do pick off 1 colossi. It's a lot of corruptors, but with some nice force fruits and nice blinks and very low energy on the infestors, my stalkers are able to win this fight. He does have a lot of links on the way. Blinking forward to kill another corruptor. Do have the zealots here, ravaging the 3rd base of my opponent while I kill his 4th base. That's why I like Ohana. If you deny this watchtower, you just can move around very quickly. Do kill pretty much, well, not always workers, but a lot of his very important drones, because he wants to be mining from a 3rd base. My mothership is on the way. Only 3 brood lords, 4 now for my opponent, so mothership is quite unnecessary, but you never know. Always good to make that mothership. Right now I'm on 4 bases against my opponent's 3. Killed a lot of drones and basically putting myself in a unlosable situation. Part of that has to do with the Phoenix, I have to say. Did a lot of aggression, killed some infestors, especially when he attacked with his 10 infestors, and I just lifted them all up when they tried to retreat. And with the blink stalkers it's just so easy to blink right underneath them. Do have some zealots here denying this base. Zealots trying to kill some more drones, but his army is unfortunately there. I'm up by a lot of supply. I have a huge bank. I'm actually going 2 times 2 through this game. I'm actually getting armor for the mothership. I quite like that. Temporal archives as well. I'm actually not sure how it scales with the mothership and the corruptors, but hey, if the mothership dies slower, it's good for you. And with the excessive amount of minerals that I have, why not get it? Getting some more observers now. My base does get denied here. It's very difficult to get a 5th base up, but it's okay as long as you can deny your opponent's 5th. His Broodlords are out of position, which I saw with the observer, and I didn't snipe off 2 and get out of there. These Lynx don't stand a chance with the Colossi. He does get some nice fungals off, but he doesn't have enough. He does have quite some Broodlords, so I will have to retreat. I do end up losing these 2 Colossi, which was a bit sloppy of me. But I think overall, not a terrible trade for me, picking up some Broodlords. Very busy remaking my army. I'm on 10 gateways now, some more Colossi, and I do have the mothership now ready with a Vortex, so I'm ready to pressure my opponent, which can't really remake his supply because he's still low on drones. Getting +2 armor actually, and +3 armor. Observers on the map really good. Always nice to have some spotting going. My opponent doesn't have any corruptors, so even if he had an observer, he will have to use infestor energy to get rid of my spotting. He is trying to pressure this base now, but we'll have to retreat. Using a zealot with the observer to pick off the creep tumor, always very nice. Some more zealots making his way over. He doesn't have this watchtower, so I have just free reign over the right side of the base. Could send some zealots over here. And he's really in a tough position, my opponent. We'll times do this game a bit more. Killing off the creep tumor. And with my vision, with his overlord, he does fungal it now. But I see that he's moving to kill these zealots. So his broodlords are very exposed. Infestors are underneath it. Trying to take the space once again, but Zergling is denying it, so make a weapon of zealots, clean up those Zerglings and try to take the space. If you just get a lot of cannons up here, you can easily take the space. He's sending his whole army to deal with that, and once again his broodlords are exposed. I just have such good map vision with the observers and the watchtowers, and I'm able to just blink right underneath them. All the broodlords exposed. Stalkers are trying to come up to fungal here, but it's just not enough. Too many broodlords already died. I'm just massively up in supply, finishing off the last of the broodlords, and the infestors are just caught right in between all my stalkers and the colossi. And yeah, that's the pretty much the end of the game. Go over that really quickly to see what the Phoenix all did. Contribute like a huge part of my winning. You can see the resources last step will always be in your favor. In the beginning of the game, unless you like lose them to spore crawlers, you Phoenix quite often, but there's just so many things you can pick off, and they help with your army as well, as you can see at my third base when he was trying to attack me. Kill a queen over here, kill some overlords. You can just see that unit's last step going up for him, and I'm just spending energy and APM to do so. Not to mention I get scouting, I get map control. I can deny his scouting by picking up overlords around the map. I'm taking my third base. As you can see, there's just so many more resources that he's losing. And he's going for the roach push. I retreat with my Phoenix and just pick up more roaches. Let's try to find that another roach going down. That push with his infestors. Do end up losing some units over here. See his infestors, his 11 infestors are on the way now. Phoenix lifting up more and more roaches. Blink stalkers also very cost efficient if you can micro them. Right now we decided to push with a lot of Zerglings and infestors, which actually is the counter to a lot of blink stalkers. To just have a lot of Zerglings. Zerglings are really good against stalkers, and you can pin those stalkers down with the infestors. But of course when they're Phoenix, it becomes very difficult. As you can see, I'm lifting up 2 infestors right away. He does get the fungal on my stalkers, but he doesn't chain fungal, so I can still micro a bit. Phoenix getting shot at. He barely doesn't have enough units, and normally your opponent would just either burrow them and go away, or I can just walk them away. Some would get away even if you blink, but I just I pick them off with the infestors, and I can just get underneath them right away. For example, right now, even if I would blink, I wouldn't be able to catch up to excuse me, these infestors, but because I do have the Phoenix, I'm able to hunt them down and kill them. Infestors, of course, very expensive units. You don't want to lose them. And yeah, I think this was decided a lot of the game, just picking up a lot of his units. Phoenix are just so cost efficient against roaches and infestors, against queens, overlords, drones, whatever you can pick off that's not near spore crawlers. So that's it for the first replay. We're going into the second replay right now. Hello and welcome back to the second game. I'm going to analyze and sort of showcase the build for you. Of course, this is the video tutorial from NaNiwa's PvZ Phoenix opening with a gateway expand. This time it is going to be on Cloud Kingdom, PvZ once again. This is actually not a ladder game, but a practice game of me and a clanmate. I will showcase you a build where you can actually all in with it, with the Blink Stalkers and the Phoenix. As you can saw in the previous game, you can just lift off the infestors with the Phoenix, and because infestors, Ling infestors, is pretty much the counter to Blink Stalkers, you can sort of neglect that that chain of fungal that they can put on your Stalkers with the Phoenix, making Stalkers just so much more cost efficient. You do see, of course, the Pylon in the main base. Again, about building placements, I would much rather have it here, the Pylon, with the gateway like behind it, so that when the Overlord gets over to my natural and tries to peek in, it won't see the gateway. It's just a little bit of mind game that you can play with your opponent. It might be a proxy 2 gate, and actually won't see how much chrono boost you're actually spending on the cybercore. I am scouting on 12 this time, like I said in the previous game. It's actually my preferred way of scouting, with the gateway in the main base. Going for the standard build order again, just Pylon, gateway, gas. Let's see, you have the probe at the natural. I didn't go up yet. I think this is the game where I actually block his natural. Don't see a second Pylon yet. And there's the Pylon. Yeah, this is what NaNiwa likes to do a lot. You actually don't go up the main base again. You just block the Pylon. You stay at the natural, then block the Pylon, then go up the main base to scout. I actually didn't see the pool, but I saw no links and the drone count, so that was enough for me. Some Zerg players actually try to take their third base here, but when the Overlord sees that there's actually nothing at my natural, they might cancel it. It's just a little trick that you can play with your opponent, because I might forget. If your opponent does that, take that third base and actually keeps it, you can do a 3 gateway pressure, and you can just punish that third base quite easily. Do have the circlings out, trying to kill the Pylon. A very important thing I actually have to note: if your opponent takes down 2 drones to take down the Pylon, at the moment you make it, you will have to do some harassment with your probe, because then if you don't and the circlings come out, you actually will kill the Pylon before you can start your Stalker. And that's a really annoying supply block. You don't want to hit that, so make sure your Pylon doesn't go down, held down to shields with the 2 drones he might pull. You have the gas from my opponent. Zealot Stalker on the way. Where are the... yeah, there's the Zealot and the Stalker. Excuse me. Pylon on the low ground. Here you see the 27 nexus, and I will follow it up with the forge. You have the Stalker scouting a bit around, making sure no links will counterattack. It's very annoying to deal with because you actually don't have any units at home. There's the second gas right after the nexus. That's at 27 supply once again. Zealot does see that no third base yet. And there's the Stargate. I will pause the replay here. As you can see in the build order, after the nexus and the second gas, you pretty much have to build a forge, a Stargate, and a second gateway. The order in which you do that really is how greedy you want to get. right? This game I'm being pretty greedy, getting the Stargate before the Forge. Normally you might want to wall off with the Forge and then get the Stargate. If your opponent goes for a really early gas, you might even want to get the cannon and the second gateway before the Stargate. It's really up to you. Of course you will have to scout how fast your opponent is getting his gas. My stalker and zealot chasing the probe a bit, the circlings a bit. My Forge and the gateway are going up right now. A thing I always forget is to actually make a sentry right now. At 100 gas, it's such a waste to wait for the warp gate research to finish and then make the sentry, or you can get it out right away and still have a warping round you might want to spend on extra zealot or an extra sentry. It's really those small things that can help refine the build. As you can see now, the gateway is done, nexus is about to finish, Phoenix are on the way. See, my opponent didn't see my second gas yet. You of course don't want to make the Stargate at your wall, especially not on Cloud Kingdom. Your opponent will just see it. Opponent is going for the third base now. And there's the sentry. Could have been the second sentry or just have that warp-in round. Was a bit slow making this gateway into a warp gate. But it's not that important because you're actually not spending that many warp-in rounds. You have that second gateway just for all-ins. I will discuss that later a bit too, that in early game you actually want to make as few units as possible. The fewer units you make, the faster you can get your infrastructure up. Of course, that are the gateways that you will be making. After this you will make a Twilight. If you want, you can choose your tech, of course. But the less units you make, the earlier you can get your gateways. This is very important, especially if you're going to all-in. It counts for every race. You want to get your infrastructure as soon as possible. The same goes with Zerg. If you want to all-in, you got units and you save larva and then you just spend everything at once. The overhead does go into the main base, so he actually does see it. I already have 4 Phoenix out, so I am taking my chances. Normally your opponent will have spores up because he saw the Phoenix so early, but because my 4 Phoenix already were out, I went straight for his main to kill queens. Normally you want to actually kill, for example, this overlord first. Maybe there's another one here, but I'm going straight into the main, and I was lucky. No spores were finished yet, so I kill a queen here. I'm not sure if I kill some more drones and the queen. You have to be really careful. You actually don't want to lose your Phoenix right away. Killing some overlords. And the Twilight with the blink already on the way. Chrono boosting that out. But +1 is a bit late. Actually, you want to start +2, of course, when the Twilight is done. You want to have that lined up really nicely. And right now, my opponent has 2 spores per base, an extra queen. And if your opponent has that, especially on this map, you can just park your Phoenix, right here, and just pick off everything that's in between bases. Queen does overextend a bit. This is because when your opponent will try to put their queens to hold position, of course. Let's see if we can fight a queen. No, I do lose a Phoenix here, but your opponent will set the queen to hold position, so they won't try to hit the Phoenix, because that's what they automatically do. But then when they actually inject, the hold position resets and puts it to stop, and then you can lure out the queens once again. Let's see, we go back into the replay, see if this happens here. I think the queen just spawned, and no, it's just out of range. But yeah, you can actually do that. So if your opponent injects with the queen, the hold position will stop. It will reset. It will be stop position, and then you can lure the queen out once again. So my blink is almost done. I'm doing more harassment. Worker count is even. I killed 4 myself, and the additional gateways are on the way. Let's see, I have 7 gates in total. I do replace actually Phoenix once I lose them. Especially when you go below 4 Phoenix, you really want to remake that 4th Phoenix. I play a bit sloppy, not picking off this overlord, so my opponent pretty much sees everything that I'm doing. Also with the circling at my 3rd base. But because the timing is so good, work count is up in quite some, not quite some, 7 workers. And let's see if I saw the, I actually didn't see the infestation pit, but with careful scouting, I pick off another queen. With careful scouting, you can see actually the infestors coming out, and that's what happens right here. The infestors are out to counter my blink all-in, but I just lift off the phoenix before the engagement. It takes 6 fungals to kill a phoenix that's full on health and shields, so it's obviously quite some fungals. My opponent did lose 2 there, and he has 2 on the field and 2 on the way, so he barely had enough to kill all my phoenix, but he didn't, because I lifted them up. We do have the push now in the third base of, from the Zerg. Because the infestors are out of position and out of energy, the blink stalkers are just that much more cost efficient against the Roachling. Haven't been fungled yet. There's more infestors on the way, however. The phoenix out of range of the Sporkler just pick off another infestor, and the blink stalkers just keep staying alive. There's the first fungal on my stalkers. The infestors get picked off right away after that. Some get a bit low on units. There's one more infestor with energy, but I picked it off immediately. Things are so useful, especially on this map where you have the area between the natural and the third base. He is able to push me back a bit though, but losing quite some drones in the process. And this is why in the guide, if you read it on Team Liquid or Reddit, I actually recommend even to Master League players to make some more gateways, because I do have 7 gateways right now, but with the Phoenix and the Blink Stalker composition you have to micro quite a bit, and it's very difficult to keep that money low. I'm reinforcing with a voice rate because I have so much money. I need to spend it on something. You do have me moving out again. I have some more zealots with +2 against the 0-1. Of course those zealots will just rip through those circlings. Phoenix are still helping, trying to lift off things. There goes my opponent with the last attack. But there's no infestors, I can just blink stalker micro all my units. Phoenix lifting up units, drones are being pulled. And with the reinforcements with the 4 Pylon, another zealot warping, I'm able to take this game. So you can really see with the Phoenix and the Stalker, it's just such a cost efficient army composition. Even if your opponent gets infestors, if you just see it in time, you have 4 to 6 Phoenix, you can lift those infestors up. You have to make sure to split them though, you don't want to get them fungled. Even if your opponent does fungal all the Phoenix, your opponent will be out of energy because it takes 6 fungals to kill a Phoenix when it's full on health and full on shields. So you really have to get in there really fast. Your opponent will probably hesitate, should I fungal those Phoenix or not? So it's really good, even if you're you can even keep your Phoenix a bit behind your army, and after the first fungals hit you can just pick off the other infestors with energy. There's just so much you can do. Zergs aren't very good at keeping their units alive when they come out of the eggs. They're not always sure at which hatchery the infestor will actually spawn. So when you're attacking, there might be infestors popping out right at his third base. You have to be really on top of that, making sure you don't get fungled. And that is it for the second replay. I'll be moving on into the quick tips and timing sections, which you can use for your own build order notebook. If you have that, I recommend making one, where you have just things, very useful tips that you really need to watch for when executing this build. Hello, welcome back, and I'll be moving to the quick tips section now, where I explain tips that I noticed while doing this build a lot on ladder. Some of the tips you already heard when I was analyzing the replays, but here's the list. The first tip is queens on hold position. We talked about that during the Cloud Kingdom game. When your opponent injects with the queen, if it was already set to hold position, it will reset now, and you can lure the queens with the Phoenix out of spore crawler range and actually just pick it off. It really takes some APM for the Zerg to keep that queen on hold position always. The second tip is to make sure you target the queen. When you get inside of the base and there's actually overlords near the queen, you want to target the queen and make sure you're not spending any shots of the Phoenix on overlords. It takes of course one lift to kill off a queen, but if your Phoenix aren't targeting the queen, but taking some shots at the Overlord, you actually might need 2 lifts, and that's quite a waste. You don't want to do that, so always make sure that you're targeting the Queen once you lift it off. Again, in the Cloud Kingdom game, take 6 fungals to kill a Phoenix when it's full on health. So when you see only 5 or 4 infestors, don't be afraid to go in. Just go inside, try to lift some infestors. Even if you get fungled, you know your Phoenix won't die. You might have to retreat them after that, of course, to regain the shields. And if you're going for an all-in like I did on the Cloud Kingdom game, it's really good if your opponent spends like some fungals on Phoenix they won't kill, because you're just wasting their energy. The 4th tip is to wall off your natural completely when you're going for a fast third base. This, however, is only possible on Ohana and Entombed Valley for ladder maps, where you can completely wall off your natural and you have rocks for an easy access to a third base. Make sure you have at least 2 pylons in the wall. You don't want to have your whole wall running on 1 pylon, of course. The 5th tip is to keep a zealot at the watchtower. On some maps you can put the zealot in between the tower and the rocks, or just the map itself, and it will take less surface area, so it will take more links to kill it. It's a nice little tip if you actually keep the zealot at the watchtower and not at your wall-in. The 6th tip is use the Phoenix to lift off your own units. They won't auto-attack it, so let's say your stalker gets surrounded by Zerglings, you can just lift it off, and save it. Like we saw on the Ohana game, you can actually use Phoenix to lift off retreating units. So don't be afraid to use your Phoenix as defensive units, even if you're out harassing and your opponent comes in with a Roach Ling attack, a Ling Infestor attack, and you think you're not able to kill Infestors or Roaches. Well, you can actually. They try to retreat and the Phoenix will be there to lift them off. Another tip is to just make the Void Ray from the Stargate if you're expanding and you don't feel safe. Of course you will have the robotics to make Immortals, but it's just way after the Phoenix are out. So you won't have a big Immortal count, and there's no reason why you shouldn't get a Void Ray if you feel threatened. Of course, with the Phoenix out on a map in your opponent's base really fast, you will be able to see how many roaches your opponent is actually making. I think in one replay attached to the thread, you can actually see a game where I just keep the Phoenix and see the roach count, and then you just make a Void Ray in response, and it helps a lot to hold off attacks. Void Rays of course deal a lot of damage to armored units, so of course really good against the roaches. For the timings I actually only have one timing for you, that is the speedling upgrade. Of course it's very important to know when your opponent's speed for the Zerglings is going to finish, so that you make sure that there's no stalkers on the map, no zealots trying to scout, and you already scouted with your probe for the third base. For this, however, you will have to need to see your opponent's gas timing. Once your opponent starts a gas, it takes 30 seconds for the gas to finish, and if your opponent puts drones on it right away, it takes a little less than a minute, 55 seconds, to accumulate 100 gas for the circling speeds, which takes 110 seconds to make.